Hello students, today topic is Animal Kingdom. This is your ninth subtopic in your first chapter, Diversity of Living World. First let's see what is Animal Kingdom, which means it is a large group of animals which have similar structures and similar functions, right? Let's see what are the characteristics of animal kingdom organisms, right? First, in animal kingdom organisms, all the organisms are eukaryotes, right? We have two type of organisms. One is prokaryotic organisms and eukaryotic organisms. Prokaryotic organisms means in a cell there is no distinct nucleus, which means cell में nuclei absent रहता, right? That is about prokaryotic cell. But all the animal kingdom organisms are eukaryotic animals, which means they have a distinct nuclei in the cell, right? Next, all the animal kingdom organisms are multicellular organisms. We have two type of organisms, unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms means total body is built with the single cell, that is unicellular organism, right? In multicellular organisms we can found a number of cells, right? For example, human body, human is also a animal, right? In human body we can found trillions of cells, okay, right? Next character is all animal kingdom organisms are heterotrophics, which means there are three type of organisms are there on the world. They are autotrophs, heterotrophs and saprotrophs, which means autotrophs can develop their own food by the utilization of carbon dioxide, sunlight and water. Example, plants or green plants and some cyanobacteria, like those bacteria also. Next, animals are the heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means they are depending on other organisms for their food material, right? Saprotrophs means they are depending on the depending on died animals or died plants for their food material, right? Which means all the kingdom animalia organisms are heterotrophic in nature. Bole to they are depending on other animals for their food material. Next, very important point, animal kingdom organisms has no cell wall, which means every cell has to covers with the cell wall. Plant cell covers with the cell wall, but animal cell has no cell wall, okay? That is very important point. Cell wall is absent in animal kingdom organisms. Next one is all animal kingdom organisms has no photosynthetic pigment. Why? Because they are heterotrophic in nature. Bole to they are not depending on other animals for their food material. So there is no need of photosynthetic pigment. Photosynthetic pigment means it is useful to perform the photosynthesis process. Okay, by this photosynthesis process they can develop their food. Okay, there is no need of developing photosynthetic process. That's the reason animal kingdom organisms have no photosynthetic pigment. Okay, and the next characteristic of animal kingdom organisms is nutrition is holozoic, right? Which means all organisms are taking the food material directly into the body. Okay, either it is a diffusion process or through the mouth or through the any entry of a digestive system, but they are take the food material into the body directly, right? Next, reserve food material is in the form of glycogen. For example, we take food materials in the form of carbohydrates, proteins and fats. These carbohydrates are converted into glucose material. If we take more glucose or more carbohydrates as a food material, then this food material is converted into glycogen form. That is, reserved food material is in the form of glycogen. This is also a characteristic of animal kingdom organisms. And the next character is all or majority of the animals are motile. Motile means they can move from one place to another place, okay? But plants are not movable. बोले तो they are unable to move from one place to another place. Okay, that is the nature of a plant, but animals are move from one place to another place. That nature is known as motility. Okay, all animal kingdom organisms shows motile nature. And the next one is very important one. In animal kingdom organisms we can found muscle cells and sensory cells as well as nerve cells, right? And the next and last characteristic of animal kingdom organisms is reproduction. Reproduction means to give birth to the next generation. This reproduction is maybe of three types in all organisms: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction. Vegetative reproduction means a part or a piece of a body part is becomes new organism, that is vegetative reproduction. And the next one is asexual reproduction. In this pattern of a reproduction, male and female gametes are not fused, but they can develop their next generation, that is asexual reproduction. And the last one is sexual reproduction. This sexual reproduction process, male and female gametes are fused to develop into new organism, that is sexual reproduction. In animal kingdom, the organism shows, majority of the organisms shows sexual reproduction, but some of the organisms also shows asexual reproduction also, right? Now let us see what is the classification of this animal kingdom, right? First let's see animal kingdom, kingdom Animalia. Okay, kingdom Animalia is also known as metazoa, right? Metazoa. This animal kingdom is divided into two forms only. Okay, two forms. One is parazoa, second one is eumetazoa, right? Parazoa and eumetazoa. Let us see what is the difference in between parazoa and eumetazoa. First, this parazoa subkingdom of Animalia kingdom has only the organisms which have only cellular level of organization, which means in a organism there is no formation of tissues, organ systems. They have only cellular level of organization. Okay, example, in its parazoa subkingdom we can find only one phylum, that is Porifera, right? Porifera. Examples are sponges. These are the examples for Porifera phylum. Okay, this phylum is present in subkingdom parazoa, right? Next one is subkingdom eumetazoa. It is very important one. Eumetazoa, which means in this subkingdom we can found many organisms. All these organisms have tissue level of organization, organ level of organization, organ system level of organization, right? Based on the symmetry, okay, based on the symmetry of organisms, again this eumetazoa subkingdom is divided into two grades. One is Radiator grade and the second grade is Bilateral grade. Okay, first let's see what is Radiator. Okay, Radiator grade. First, before this we have to know what is symmetry. Symmetry means an arrangement of paired organs on the either side of the central axis. Imagine this is an organism, this is the central point. Okay, now on either side of central point or central principal axis there are two organisms. If the organism has two organs, one organ is present on the right and another organ is present on the left. Example, human being. Let's take human being. Human being, okay, imagine this is human body, right? This is the center point. Paired organs, which means we have two eyes, right? Which means one eye is present on the right side of the central axis, another eye is present on the left side of the central axis. As well as we have two hold nose, which means one nose. Imagine this, this is the nose. Okay, one nose is present on the right side and one opening of a nose is present on the left side, and we have one mouth, which means if the paired organs are present, those organs are present on right and left side. If a organ is single, and in that case organ is present at the central axis. Imagine we have only single mouth, that's the reason mouth has at the center of this principal axis, right? Now let's see what is radiata, what is bilateral. Radiata means the organism, okay, the organism can divide it into multiple equal parts through principal axis. Imagine this is an organism, okay, we can divide this organism like this, which means through the principal axis we can divide left and right organisms. This is the principal axis. Through the principal axis we can divide like this also, okay, we can divide like this also, okay, which means we can divide the organism in many equal parts through the principal axis. That type of a symmetry is called radial symmetry, okay. Based on that symmetry, this grade is came to an existence, okay, radiata, right? In this radiata grade we can found only diploblastic organisms. Diploblastic animals means during embryonic development, okay, during embryonic development we can found three germinal layers. One is ectoderm, second one mesoderm, and endoderm. In these three germinal layers in diploblastic animals, di means two, right? Diploblastica means in diploblastic organisms we can find only two embryonic membranes. They are ectoderm and endoderm. There is no mesoderm is present in radiata grade animals. Examples: Cnidaria phylum and Ctenophora phylums. These two phylums are present in diploblastica animals or radiata grade, okay. And the next grade is Bilateria, okay. This grade is also divided on the basis of a symmetry. Bilateria grade, right? Bilateral symmetry means the organism can divide it into only two equal parts. Example, human being. Let's take human being. Okay, imagine this is the human body. We can cut the human body only into two equal parts. If we cut like this, we can't get equal parts, which means this type of a symmetry is known as bilateral symmetry, okay. Based on that symmetry, this grade Bilateria is came to an existence. This Bilateria grade organisms are triploblastic animals, okay. Triploblastic animals, which means they have three germinal layers during embryonic development. They are ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm, okay. Three embryonic membranes are present in triploblastic animals. Now this Bilateria grade organisms, or this Bilateria grade is divided into two divisions, okay, based on the formation of a mouth, okay. First one is Protostomia division and second one is Deuterostomia division. Protostomia division means during embryonic development, blastopore is converted into mouth first and then anus is formed, okay. This protostomia is again divided into three subdivisions based on the coelom, okay. First one is Acylometa, Pseudocylmeta, and Schizocylmeta. First, let's see what is coelom, right? This division is based on the coelom, right? What is coelom? Coelom means, imagine this is the human body, or it is an organism. In an organism, we can find some visceral organs, which mean internal organs. This is the body wall, and all these are visceral organs. Now, let us see what is coelom. Coelom means the space between body wall and the visceral organ. It is filled with the fluid, that is coelomic fluid. That fluid is lined by the mesodermal layer. Example, yeah, देखो, this is the body wall and this is the visceral organ. This is also visceral organ. All these are visceral organs. In between body wall and the visceral organ, the space is there, right? This space is filled with the fluid, that is coelomic fluid. that fluid has to cover with the mesodermal layer. If the fluid is covered with the mesodermal layer, that is known as a coelom. Now, in Acylometa subdivision, we don't have any coelom, which means in the place of a coelom, there is solid material is present. Examples: Platyhelminthes phylums. These phylum organisms are present in Acylometa subdivision. Examples are flatworms. These are the examples for Platyhelminthes phylum. And the next subdivision is Pseudocylmeta. First, let's see what is pseudo. Pseudo means it is half, which means coelom is present, but it is not true. Bole to, there is a space between body wall and the visceral organ, but that space is filled with the fluid, but that fluid is not aligned by the mesoderm. Okay, that's the reason we are knowing this. Pseudocylmeta, which means coelom is present but it is not a true coelom. Example: phylum Nematoda. Examples are roundworms. Roundworms are the examples for Nematoda phylum. This Nematoda phylum is the Pseudocylmeta subdivision. And the next one is Schizocylmeta. Schizocylmeta means coelom is present, which means the space between body wall and the visceral organ is filled with the fluid, that is coelomic fluid. That fluid is lined by the mesoderm. Example is phylum Annelida, phylum Arthropoda, phylum Mollusca. All these phylums are included in Schizocylmeta subdivision. And the next division is Deuterostomia. In protostomia, blastoporis develops into mouth first and then later anus is formed. In deuterostomia division, during the development, blastoporis develops into anus first and then later mouth is formed. This deuterostomia is again divided into only one subdivision based on the coelom, that is Enterocillumeta. Enterocillumeta means the coelom is formed due to extraction or expansion of archenteron pouches. Okay, which means the coelom is present. Coelom means the space between body wall and the visceral organ. It is filled with the fluid, that is coelomic fluid. That fluid has to line with the mesodermal layer. This coelom is present in enterocillum. This enterocillum is formed by the expansion or extension of archenteron pouches. Examples are phylum Echinodermata, phylum Hemichordata and phylum Chordata. All these are examples for subdivision, that is Enterocillumeta, right? This is about total animal kingdom. Okay, thank you for watching.